Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Serena, thanks for coming back to help me out, because this would not have been fun making picks by myself.
Somebody's got to carry this show, Rod.
Thing. Goodbye. Thanks for coming on.
How about
Please.
that?
You know, see? She knows now. She knows now. Way to go, guys. Way to go, guys. We got about 3 minutes till we break. Wasn't it good? That was good. Columbus at Pittsburgh. Straight up. Who wins tonight? Columbus at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
I'm with you. Chicago and Canada at Ottawa.
I'm going to go with Chicago. They're on a heater. They won one game.
Beat the Flames. I got Chicago too. And I know you're the biggest Bedard fan. I know. Islanders at Florida Panthers tonight. Who wins it? It's going to be a doozy.
It will be. I think the Panthers are going to win.
There's a lot of pressure on them. People don't understand. I'm with you on that. Philadelphia Flyers at Montreal Canadiens. Who wins?
Philly.
I'll take Montreal, although they just won in Colorado and made both of us liars. She takes Philly. I take Montreal. Washington and Toronto. It's a big one. Washington and Toronto. Who do you like?
Washington.
Okay, I'll take the Leafs. I'll take the Leafs. We got to speed it up. Sorry. Detroit and Carolina.
Carolina.
Me too. San Jose at Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Boy, we're not making this much fun. But nobody beats. San Jose doesn't beat anybody. Flames at Blues.
St. Louis.
I'll take Calgary. You would never take Calgary. So that
I would never.
Vegas at Winnipeg. I know. Maybe the game of the night. Vegas at Winnipeg.
Vegas.
I'll take the Jets. Okay, good, because I'll take the Jets. They got to snap this 4-game slide. Kings at Oilers.
I mean, I'm going to go with Edmonton because I'm an Oilers fan. It's going to be a tough one.
I'll take the Oilers, too.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
What was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena? And he said it was in a bad end of town, and the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the intersection, and some local yelled at him, "Don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Returning messages, doing business. Welcome, everybody, to a brand new week on the RP Show. It's our first post-Easter episode. No Darren DuPont today nor tomorrow, so prepare yourselves for that. This is episode number 1,212 of your favorite daytime sports talk show, coming your way on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio down there in Georgia, and, of course, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, all the streams. We're going to bring in the Silver Fox Kelly Remple. We always have so much fun with the Silver Fox. Everybody loves him. There's that Stampeders coach who he is their favorite personality on here, he tells me, Kelly Remple. And coming up later on, Brien Ray from Dallas Stars Television, Dave Petrishen, the sports doctor from Winnipeg, and Taylor Shire from the Regina Leader-Post. So, Rems, I'm just going to jump right into this. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? And we're going to fire it off and get rolling. Because I will guarantee you, things changed a little bit, Kelly, maybe even from the last time you're on. We do the big story, and I'll guarantee you my big story is different than Kelly's. What I mean by the big story is, Kelly, if you're captaining the Coffee Row Talk, which you probably do, what's the topic? Mine is this. It's not Easter weekend and all the pleasantries, and thank you, Brent and Bree and the Waltman family for taking care of us and taking us out on the boat. You see, I got some sun. Mine is this. It's tonight. The NHL, 8 games tonight, Kelly, including a marquee matchup in Toronto between the Leafs and the Florida Panthers. The Leafs, who have won 2 in a row, sit third in the Atlantic Division. 6 behind the second-place Florida Panthers. And that's going to be the poll question. We'll get to that. We'll talk more about this. But what's yours? What is in your sports vortex? on this Monday?
Well, Rod, you know me, I'm a WHL fanatic. So I had the pleasure of going to both games in Moose Jaw at the Moose Jaw Event Center. Our producer, Clark, he was there, decked out in Warriors paraphernalia, getting everybody fired up down there. So I'm dialed into the Western Hockey League playoffs, in particular the Eastern Conference. I'm clearly more familiar with what goes on this side of the tracks than what they're doing out in BC and US, although I got my eye on that too. I'm really dialed into the Broncos, the Raiders, the Blades. There's four of the five Saskatchewan teams are in it, Rod, so it's a fun time of year.
Right. So we'll get to that in our quick six show topics here. I knew that that's where Kelly's was, not to mention the Blue Jays, who earned a split in Tampa Bay on the weekend to open the series. They're in Houston tonight. There's a lot of things going on, plus football. The Rat is watching or listening and texts in and says, Remps is the best.
Dirk.
Well, you're not telling me anything I don't know, Dirk. So listen, we'll start with this NHL thing because we're on national television in Canada. And 31 U.S. states where, believe it or not, they do like hockey, and Atlanta radio, where we are Atlanta's NHL station. Also tonight, the Jets aim to snap a 6-game losing skid when they host the LA Kings tonight, and the Oilers, the winners of 3 in a row, visit the St. Louis Blues. So the poll question, before we go any further, is this. Will the Toronto Maple Leafs clinch a playoff berth tonight? That is the poll question. I guess, yes, for Key Auto Group, will the Leafs clinch a playoff spot tonight? I got to check because I put it up just before the show. I'm going to say no because, as you see, I'm wearing a Florida Panthers golf shirt, and we're not thinking about the Leafs. Yeah, it's 59% on Twitter saying, no, the Leafs aren't going to clinch a playoff berth tonight. It's a matter of time, though, Remps. What would you vote, yes or no? Leafs going to win in regulation tonight and clinch? What do you think will happen?
Who knows? I'll you know what? I'm going to use my heart and say yes, not because I really care that much, but as you and I have talked about before, I've changed over the years. I used to not care whether a team was Canadian or not. It didn't really matter to me that much. There were some I liked, some I didn't like. As I've gotten older, for whatever the reason, Rod, I'm pulling for all the Canadian teams. So you got Vancouver, you got Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto. If you're a Canadian team, I'm cheering for you. Hey, I know the Las Vegas Golden Knights last year had a bunch of Western Canadian guys on their team and won the Stanley Cup. So you'd think I should be cheering for them. But I don't know. As I get older, I find it's just more fun, to live here in amongst fans. When the Canadian teams are doing well, these years where by the second round of the playoffs, they're all gone. It just feels like it's like nobody seems to care. So yeah. I'll pick him.
Nice to have some contenders. I get to. He says yes. I say no. And I will say this, because this is not the Florida Panthers show. For the 8900th time, I've told our Florida listeners that, no, that's not what we do here. We created a Panthers podcast to do that. But I will say this, the Panthers have lost 6 of their last 8, if I have that right, and I think they made too many trades. It bungled up the chemistry. The fans, because there are fans here, that's a misnomer, there are, and they're upset that Ryan Lomberg, fan favorite, hasn't played the last 2 games. It's muddled up the chemistry, so the Panthers got to get this figured out. Now, moving on to point 2, we have fun here. That's one thing that's never changed, Kelly. 1,212 shows. We have fun, F-U-N. And it's April Fool's Day today. And I just want to know what your or the viewer and listeners' take is on April Fool's. Did any get you today? Like, the best, most creative one I saw this morning was here, the Battle of South Florida. The Florida Atlantic University Owls will be playing the University of South Florida Bulls. This is NCAA Division I football on a battleship, an aircraft carrier. Not a battleship, an aircraft carrier out at sea on November 1st. The second I saw it, I'm like, no, you didn't get me. It's good, though. It was a good drawing, good idea. Are there any that come to mind for you over the years or today? Did something tickle your fancy?
No. Rod, back when you were the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, didn't something happen one year with a quarterback that just had the entire province coming completely unhinged? And then they later, I'm just trying to remember what that was. This isn't making for great television here, but I can't remember. But
no.
Pops.
No, it is making for great television, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Now, you and I are the same age, and people
Yeah.
need to, something happens when you hit a certain age. I think it might be 50. I'm not sure. You and I are past that. And it's like, I don't like to play with people's emotions anymore. You like to cheer for Canadian teams. You listen to AM country radio. That's what you do when you get to a certain age.
Well,
You know, and
I still
so
listen to AC/DC, but that's okay.
How about
Well,
that?
yeah, there's the exception that proves the rule. The point is, some of the best April Fool's jokes you and I have been a part of for years. You know, I had the one where they were building a rink halfway between Regina and Moose Jaw, Belle Plaine, and the Pats and Warriors. We're going to share that arena. And I interviewed both GMs, Chad Lang and Brent Parker. They were all in on it. Or that we've sold the naming rights to the Agrodome. This was in the 90s, to Macintosh Computers, and we're going to call it the Mac Arena. And it got everybody all upset, and people are calling around, and I'm getting in trouble. And, you know, there was why I said the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey Leagues granted an expansion team to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They're going to call them the Roughriders, and they're going to play out of the Cooperators Arena. We had a logo done up for it. Well, all of a sudden, I'm getting called in and getting hell. And I'm like, you know what? At this advanced age, I'm close to becoming a senior. Not that long now. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need to be called in anymore for just having fun. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, people need to lighten up and have a sense of humor. You know, I actually remember that Pens drink. That was hilarious, and that was so well done because both Brent and Chad were in on like with quotes, and like I really believe that this is going to be great and do nothing but add to the rivalry and all this kind of crazy stuff. And yeah, I do remember that. But I seem to remember that there years ago there was something had to do with the Riders where they and literally the radio stations and everybody just went completely off the rails. But I'm just trying to remember what that was. But anyway, it had to.
I should have prepped you for it. Hey, I apologize. Somebody will help. The Waz was in on it. 902-518-3033. You can text us and or write in on the streams. The text lines for Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beers. Ask for them by name at your local beer, wine, and spirit store. 902-518-3033. The Silver Fox is on. It's brought all of the junior hockey enthusiasts to their feet, and they're writing in, and they have comments, Kel. So thank you for sticking with us for 2 segments, because we'll get to the rest next segment. But we got to get through the warm-up and the quick 6 show topics here, because we move on to point 3. Justin Turner homered and drove in 4 runs as the Toronto Blue Jays gained a split of a season-opening 4-game series by beating the Tampa Bay Rays 9-2 Sunday. Toronto ace Kevin Gausman on a pitch count after not making his spring training debut until March 25th because of shoulder fatigue. Allowed 1 run, 2 hits, and struck out 6 in 4 1/3 innings. Bo Bichette was a late scratch due to neck spasms. The Jays visit Houston tonight. Are you still that guy? Were you watching live? Did you PVR it? Like, Kelly's one of the biggest Jays fans I know. So what's your takeaway from the Rays weekend?
Well, thank God for Jays in 30, because I wasn't in a physical position with going to all these junior hockey games and whatnot. I wasn't able to sort of catch a lot of that live. I was in and out on some of the games, but I was able to sort of, recap from Jays in 30. I wish there was a Jays in 60. I feel like 30 is all like, God bless it. It's a great show. I just wish there was maybe just a little bit more, but I love Jays in 30. You know what, Rod? I think that's a step in the right direction. The 2 games that they won on Thursday and yesterday, I mean, they hit the skin off the ball. And then the 2 games that they lost, they didn't hit the ball well at all. I just think it's going to be fascinating for me to see what happens with that team. I mean, defensively, we all know what they can do. They're a very, very, very good, defensive team. Their pitching should be fine. It's just whether or not they're going to be able to hit the ball on a consistent enough basis to drive in enough runs in a lot of those games to get to that sort of 96, 97, 98, 99 number to get the playoffs. I've dialed back my expectations a lot this year, Rod. Unlike the previous couple of years where I convinced myself that they might be good enough to actually maybe win the whole ball of wax, I don't necessarily believe that anymore. So I'm just going to enjoy the season for what it is and hope that they make the playoffs. It's always fun when they do. And you know what? Who knows? Sometimes the years, you've been around sports your whole life, the years that everybody thinks you're going to do really, really well is often the year that you don't. And the year that people's expectations are kind of, they think you're going to be a good team, but not a great team. Well, maybe what's to say this year that Vladdy doesn't have a great year. He's due. I mean, maybe he'll just tear the skin off the ball. Maybe Bichette.
Do you know why that is? Do you know why that is?
No.
That I've learned, especially with working in the recovery. It's all mental. As we've known forever, we've heard that, but it's pressure. Everybody expects you to do this. It makes it a lot more difficult than when nobody expects you to do it. It's the biggest reason why. By the way, Brien Ray coming up, the sports doctor, and Taylor Shire. As we move on, it moves fast. Next segment, we'll settle into some more of these topics. Ryan in Saratoga, New York, watching. He says, good day, Rod Squad. What a great weekend for the Yankees. My boys swept Houston in Houston. Not an April Fool's joke. Ryan, I met a lady from Saratoga, New York yesterday. I spent a couple hours with her on a boat, and I think I may be coming to Saratoga, New York. So get a room ready for me. I'm told it's a beautiful place. So thank you for watching us every day, and thank you for the nice people from there. Rems, you are football first. So from my favorite newspaper, USA Today, a new startup spring pro football league kicked off over the weekend. The UFL, the merged USFL and XFL, played their first 4 games on Saturday and Sunday. And while there were some thrilling plays for the highlight reels, like a thick 6 touchdown on a fake punt, a 64-yard game-winning field goal, did the league whiff by having its opening weekend on such a busy sports weekend? If you did get a chance to watch some of the football, what did you think of the UFL? That's a direct quote from the USA Today. I'll say this. I watched some of it. Thank you, Brent Waltman. Again, he's the guy in this photo with the big fish with me. We were at his place. He put it on the big screen. He didn't have a lot of interest in it, but he knew that I would. And the ball was okay. I think every series for the first 4 drives I saw ended in a turnover. But I'm like, it's week 1. I can forgive some sloppy football. It was nice to see them watching football. The crowds were pathetic. And we'll spend more time on this throughout today's program because we move fast. But did you catch any UFL games this weekend?
I'd be lying if I said I did. I didn't. I have no interest. 0. And I love football. I love football. But, Rod, you know what?
Okay, so why? Why?
Well, why? Okay, I'll tell you why. Because I have a really difficult time investing my time and my efforts and my energy in a league to go. So, I mean, I couldn't watch it live because I was busy. So then the only option would be for me to DVR. Okay. Now, if I'm going to DVR something, I have to care enough about it to go take the time to go over to my remote and physically do it. Okay. So the fact that I didn't bother doing that tells me, and you and everybody else should tell us all we need to know about how interested I was. I remember when the XFL in whatever it was, 2010, or I can't even remember, the first weekend of ratings that they had those games played in all those different markets. Unfortunately, the wrong game was the nationally televised game because there was one of the games that came down to the last throw, and it was an amazing football game. I remember that the excitement, and it was of epic proportions when Vince McMahon introduced that league. And they did, I think in the United States on NBC, I think the buttons were popping off Dick Ebersol and everybody's chest when they did over a 10 share. Now, that in the world of television, a 10 share means that 10%, not of people watching television, 10% of people were actually watching that game. And it was just off the charts. I mean, the excitement and the euphoria, all of these different buildings, these stadiums were near capacity or somewhere between 60 and 80% capacity. It was unbelievable. Week 2, half of that. Week 3, half of that. And it got to the point where it was friends and family night within a month. So I don't know how many times these leagues need to open down there. That's why nobody goes to the games, Rod. People don't care. They don't.
Well, and I'm just going to pause that because there's a lot of football fans that watch. So we'll pick that up when we come back. A lot of hockey fans that watch. And, of course, March Madness is the biggest thing. I'm going to mention a huge game tonight and the upcoming Final Four. So we'll be right back. Got a great day here with the Silver Fox. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Pleased to report that things are going great. And by the way, they can for you, too, by simply rewarding your love of movies by signing up for Landmark Extras for free today. Get more of what you love. Free movies, concession items, invites to exclusive screenings, special events, and more. There's 3 programs to choose from. Go to landmarkcinemas.com today to check it out. And again, sign up, as I mentioned, for free. And a mention of March Madness, because we gotta. Aaliyah Edwards from Kingston, Ontario, leads number 3 seed UConn, Connecticut, Huskies against the top-seeded USC Trojans in one of two Elite Eight games tonight in the Women's March Madness. UConn's aiming for its 23rd Final Four appearance. Also tonight, Caitlin Clark and the number 1 seeded Iowa Hawkeyes face off against Angel Reese and the 3rd seeded LSU Tigers. That is in Albany, New York tonight. Are you going to that one, Ryan? And as far as the men's go, the Final Four is this weekend. Both games Saturday. Connecticut Huskies versus Alabama Crimson Tide. And Purdue versus NC State. How about that? So let's bring the Silver Fox back in, and we'll get around all the... We've got through most of our topics. We've got through 5, and then I've got sitting here, point 6 is randoms, Kelly, so that could be whatever the hell we want. So... Vintage Sasko writes in. Vintage Sasko on the Sober Carpenter text line. And he says, listening to the Silver Fox talk about alternative football now reminds me of the time he got under the skin of the Lingerie Football League commissioner in an interview. Legendary, still giggling, signed Vintage Sasko. We're not getting into that. Do you remember that guy's name?
No, I don't, but I just remember that he was bad. He told me, he said, and I quote, you need to take the stick out of your ass. That's what he said.
How about that?
You of all people. The guy is so unimportant we can't even remember his name. But can I say this? Who do we blame for who do we blame for the fact that guys like you and me, and I don't think we're the only ones, were so geeked up over the years for the XFL 1, 2, and 3 versions, or the USFL, and now we don't care anymore. How did that happen? Because we love football. I mean, I turned it on. It looked great. It looked great. Other than the empty stands, the uniforms were beautiful. Coaches looked like they knew what they were doing, which we know they did. Why do we not care?
By the way, his name was Mitch Mortaza.
Thank you.
Bingo.
Yeah. Here's why we don't care, Rod, or here's why I don't care, and I'm sure that there are others like me. We don't care because although the football is probably pretty good, and you're absolutely right. They're hiring real football coaches. I mean, they're not just hiring some guy that coached in a flag football league and, or something. Like, these guys are all very good coaches and qualified, and they're getting paid very well, right? So these guys are saying, hey, you want to guarantee me, a couple $100,000 or whatever it is to coach. I mean, I'll coach your league. But everybody knows, Rod, that the league's not going to be around. Like, I would tell you this. If just hypothetically, you told people in Calgary, by the way, the CFL is going to have 2 more years, and that's it. And then there is no more CFL. What do you think would happen to their attendance? You think that more people would come because they've only got 2 more years? No. It would drop like a rock. Okay, so it's an example, but the reality is that we as human beings, I believe, we're only going to get so invested in something that we know is probably not going to be around. Why would you invest your heart and soul and go out and buy hats and jerseys and, take it seriously and dive into the analytics and really get knee deep into the emotion of investing in a team when A, you're not even convinced the team's even going to be around next year, and B, you bring your family to a game and there's 4,000 people in a 60,000 seat stadium. I mean, come on. I don't want to watch that on TV.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go. I mean, we watched it on TV during COVID, Rod, watched hockey with empty stadiums because we knew that it was a temporary thing. Right? And we were starved for it. But if you tell people, if people don't think that something's going to be around, how many of these leagues need to open and close and open and close and open and close? It's never going to work. People care about college football.
Right.
College football and NFL. That's what they care about.
The Cardinal Gibbons High School Chiefs draw more than what these UFL games did on the weekend. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in, he says, football was pretty darn good. That's true, but it doesn't matter if no one's interested. Exactly. From Jay in Winnipeg, he says, Ehlers and Helly were the only 2 that seemed to give a damn last night. What was that? Hey, we got the Sports Doctor coming up in the next hour, so we'll get into the Winnipeg Jets and their 6-game losing streak. I'm kind of with Brien Muntz, Biggie Muntz. who said, let's just get to the playoffs. He said that last week when the Jets' losing streak was a piddly 3 games. Now it's 6. You can imagine.
I know.
You can imagine. They're probably sounding the alarm bells literally all through Winnipeg that the Jets have lost 6 in a row. But you've been around sports. You said that I have my whole life. As of you get to this point of the season, it is so past a grind. It's like, let's just get to the playoffs. Do you think there's a little of that with teams that are struggling right now? My Tampa's amping up, so maybe it's not. What do you think?
My gut feeling is that A, yes, they're probably feeling like let's just get to the playoffs, but B, they're probably like they're treating these games almost like the playoffs. I mean, they're never the same thing. Heck, I just saw that in Moose Jaw. The games are so different in terms of how the intensity of those games, but I just think that, the Edmontons, the Winnipegs, these teams that are still jockeying for position, like they still want home ice advantage in the first round. They don't want to play Colorado and have to start in Colorado, right? Like they want to play at home. They're very important. It is true, Rod, that you absolutely want to hit the ground running, playing your best hockey as you're going into the playoffs. You don't want to go into the playoffs thinking that, geez, our power play's not working, our goaltender's not making the kind of saves that he was. Things are a little disjointed. It's a little bit of a train wreck right now. But as much as I believe that, and I do believe that, there's enough evidence to support that you want to be playing your best hockey when you go into the playoffs. The reality is that hypothetically, if you had a team that was on a 6 or 7 or 8 game losing streak and they go into the playoffs and somehow, for whatever crazy reason, Rod, they win that first game, it's all forgotten. Like, it's gone. It's in the rear view mirror.
Of course.
So,
and then we say, it's a new season. Told you it's a new season. Exactly. That's what we would say.
Yeah.
And by the way, and we have 5 minutes left with Kelly, and I want to spend it all on Junior, other than to say, here in Florida, it's unbelievable, man. You've spent some time in the States, but it's different visiting versus being in the market. And the fans don't understand. When I said the Panthers lost 6 of 8, they are going nuts. But they don't understand. It's like me and the NBA. I'm a Raptors fan. I don't know what the hell's going on, right? So there was people saying to me, what's the problem with the Panthers? I said, what do you think's the problem? The lines are all different. They're healthy scratching guys that you loved. They had tremendous team chemistry. They were the #1 team in the NHL till the trade deadline. And then they muddled everything up by bringing in a bunch of new faces. And Paul Maurice said it last week. He goes, they're running out of time to sort out who's going to be in the lineup or not. Because as you know, Kelly, the players decide it, not the coaches, by their play. So they got a couple weeks left to figure it out. And I think they will. That's what the coaches get paid for. You've seen it a million times. The GMs get as much talent as they can, throw it in the coach's lap and say, you figure it out. And that's what I feel has happened here. Now, sorry, but Twisted Mike writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line, and he says, I see the Warriors winning the Eastern Conference. Sorry, Saskatoon. I see 3 teams with the best chance: Moose Jaw, Swift Current, Medicine Hat. And if my Detroit Red Wings don't make the playoffs, I'll be cheering for the Oilers. That's from Twisted Mike. Blades are 1-1, with the Raiders. Your thoughts?
Well, I kind of agree with Twisted Mike in a sense, but I'm not sure that it's Medicine Hat's time. They are an outstanding team. They probably have as good a coaching as any team I would suggest in the Eastern Conference. In fact, in my mind, Willie Desjardins is probably the best coach. You could certainly make an argument in the conference. Gavin McKenna might be the most skilled and rawly, purely gifted, talented athlete and player, but he's a young guy. He's a really young kid. That the Medicine Hat Tigers' best days are ahead. I'm not sure that even if they do get by the Red Deer Rebels, I don't like their chances of beating a Saskatoon in the second round. I'm not saying they can't do it, but I'm not predicting that it's going to happen. As for his comments about Moose Jaw, I'm a Moose Jaw guy, so you're asking a guy who's obviously my heart is cheering for the Moose Jaw Warriors right now, but trying to remove all of that, I do think that Moose Jaw has as good a chance as anybody. I worry a little bit sometimes about their goaltending, but I'm reminded by people that go to a lot more games than me, like the play-by-play guys of all these different teams. You know, you could look at it and say, well, Swift Current with Reed Dick might have the best one. But even he's been known to lay an egg every once in a while, right? You know, Moose Jaw certainly, from what I have seen, have the most talented and explosive group of forwards. Now that's, you talk about explosive, Saskatoon with, Sidorov and Sustalev and, Wong. You could just keep going on and on. Minton. They've got a great group of forwards as well. But in terms of rolling out your top 3 lines, your top 9, I don't see anybody being as good as Moose Jaw. I like their top 4 on defense. As you start getting a little bit deeper, they're going to have to ride those top 4 really hard, which teams often do. So if you got a great top 9 forwards and you got a pretty good top, they got Denton Matejchuk, probably the best defenseman in the conference. They're going to be tough to beat. The Moose Jaw Warriors will be very tough to beat. But Rod, we were here in 2018 when the Broncos played the Warriors in the second round, and I thought Moose Jaw had a little bit more talent than they did that year too. But who won the series, right? So paper doesn't mean anything at this time of year. The Broncos have a bigger, stronger, more physical, heavier team. You've been around as long as I have. You've called games. Those playoff teams, those teams that are built like for the playoffs with those big, heavy teams that are ready to go the distance and just pound on you for 7 games. Sometimes even if you give up a little bit of skill, you can make up for it and play in that heavy type of game. So I'm thinking the only where I would disagree with Mike is he's got the top 3 teams, including Medicine Hat, and I don't. I would think it would be Saskatoon, Moose Jaw, and Swift, and then you can take a coin Swift. And you can just flip that thing all day.
Silver Fox, we covered every topic I wanted to. What the hell? We stayed on track. You and I never do that. Okay, thanks for this, man. Have a great afternoon.
You take care. And tell producer Clark he's going to hurt his rotator cuff if he keeps swinging that towel as hard as he has been.
I will. The great Kelly Remple, former manager of Bret Hart and broadcaster to the Stars, PR guy, the Moose Jaw Warriors in Regina Pats, a lot of different things. We're going to Dallas next. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour.
You're as cold as ice.
May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest, Headpins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office. Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, an upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, everybody, the RP Show continues, and as you know, when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Check them out at commoncrown.ca. Can we please bring in Brien Ray from Valley Sports, Dallas Stars television broadcast? They've won 7 in a row. Hey, Brien, welcome back to the show. I literally had to look that up. I swear to God, you guys are the Rodney Dangerfield of the National Hockey League. Never getting enough respect. Are you used to it by now?
Oh, absolutely. I think when you work on we'll call it a bit of an island down here in Dallas, non-traditional market island, however you want to phrase it. But that's not a bad thing, you know, if you think about it sometimes. Look, you always want to get more recognition, more praise, you know, more glory. But there's a cost to that. And if you are going to play under the bright lights and get all that recognition, that means you're going to get all the grief and stress and drama when things aren't going well. And we always use Toronto as the primary example, and just the pressure or the intensity or the daily grind of media attention played in a market like that. So, yeah, you know, there's always bad that goes with the good, and there's always good that goes with the bad. But at the end of the day, if you're a Dallas Stars fan, recognition or not, you're sitting number one in the Central, number one in the West. You've got a possible shot at a President's Trophy, but you're playing some really good hockey right now. So we'll stick with that and just enjoy that right now.
Well, I swear, I was looking back at your schedule on the Score app, the GOAT of sports apps. It's like Dub versus Seattle. Wait a minute. Dub. You know what I mean? I was like, what the hell? How come nobody's talking about the Dallas Stars? And then having said that, I love how the Score app has the playoff pairings round one every day, and they're shifting. And if the playoffs started today, the Stars would play the LA Kings. That's somewhat new because it's forever it's been the Kings and Oilers. How would a matchup with LA go over, do you think?
Well, on paper, the Stars have beaten LA, I think, both times they faced them this year. So you would certainly feel good about that. I am one of those believers that it feels like this year specifically, there's like, 8 teams separated by 6 or 7 points at the top of the NHL when you include the East and the West. I think you can look at both conferences and look at the top 5 teams, and they all have one really big check mark that says they can win the Stanley Cup because of that. They also have one legitimate question mark to where you can say, all right, that could be a trapdoor or a pitfall along the way, and they don't win the Stanley Cup. And Dallas is included in that list. So, you could look at some things and go, yeah, this matchup would be better here. This matchup could be better there. I think regardless of in the West, whoever you're getting in the first round, you're getting set up for a bar fight with how things have gone. Because, Vegas finally played themselves out of the wild card picture, but if they fall back into it, you're getting the reloaded defending champs. LA, for whatever reason, they had that crazy first half, but I look at their lineup and I'm like, how are they in the wild card? Like, what went so sideways that a team with that kind of depth is in a wild card picture? You look at Nashville, they finally lost, but I think we were all surprised. Would the Predators ever lose a game in regulation again? So even if you're a top team, if you're Vancouver or Dallas, you're looking at the bottom going, okay, what is a good matchup? Because all three of those teams all four of those teams, because Winnipeg has tabled off a little bit, there's a major problem that you have to deal with regardless of who you're getting in that first round.
Allie in Texarkana, you know her. She writes in, Allie girl. She says, I'm so excited for the playoffs this year. Oddly not nervous yet. Let's go Stars with a green heart. A Dallas-LA meeting, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it harkens me back to days gone by with Dave Tippett coaching the Stars, and he had been with LA. Like, that seems like a century ago. And, you grew up in St. Louis. I want to ask you what memories you have of, as a kid growing up. Was it Blues, North Stars matchups, or, what do you remember as a St. Louis kid when it comes to Stanley Cup playoff time? What sticks out?
So I'll hit you with the first memory I have was I got into hockey when Brett Hall had his his 76 goal and then his 82 goal season. It was Hall and Oates in St. Louis, but they ran into that North Stars team that had no business going to the Stanley Cup final in those early 90s, but made that miracle run before they got ousted to Pittsburgh. And then I think what took my hockey fandom to the next level was when the Blues swept the Blackhawks in the first round. I think it was 93, but that was kind of the Curtis Joseph coming out party or anointing, because I think he had 2 shutouts in that series, and Ed Belfour's breaking his stick over the goal when they lost in that 4th game. That's kind of the lasting image for Blues fans. And then when I started to get into hockey professionally, this is the early 2000s into the 2010s. So you're coming off the unbelievable rivalry series with it was Colorado and Detroit because they won multiple cups, but those late 90s Colorado, Detroit, Dallas teams were going head to head. Then you had the Rangers and the Devils on the other side, and there was this whole crazy rotation of which team was going to survive that gauntlet. And then we got into the emergence of the Blackhawks dynasty. And you mentioned LA. It comes into the LA Kings, and they sort of played back and forth there. So there's a very long Rolodex of how my hockey fandom translated into my early professional life. But yeah, growing up in St. Louis, there were great Blues series, but there was always something that got in the way.
Hey, I'm interested in all of it. If nobody else cares, I do. I love this stuff. And you would actually appreciate this. I did a banquet with Cujo, and he talked about being in goal in practice and Brett Hull working on his one-timers with those old Easton aluminum plates. He says by the time Hully was done, they looked like bananas. And the coach, Mike Keenan, would pull out the blade, shove in a left blade, and give it to left-handed shooting guys and say, bend it back. Because they were so cheap, they wouldn't just toss those sticks over the boards. And just selfishly, I want to ask you about the Mike Modano statue unveiling, because he is my favorite player of all time. I don't care about nationalities. I don't see passports. I don't see color. I see speed. And I love me some Mo. How was it, man? Was it as good as it looked?
It was awesome. The whole thing was awesome. And on a side note, remind me to tell you a good Brett Hall story at the end of all this, since you brought him up. But the Modano experience was, you know what? It was one of those. It worked out when you didn't think it would. The statue looks fantastic. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at pictures, but the statue looks absolutely sensational. They nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
It was supposed to be an outdoor ceremony that began in the afternoon, and the staff, Mike Modano, his family, all the people that had been putting this thing together for multiple years had this whole thing laid out. He was the Grand Marshal in the St. Patrick's Day parade because it was the day they were running it. It was the day before St. Patrick's Day. And then right before, about an hour before, maybe 2 hours before, we get crushed with thunderstorms, just crushed by it. So they waited as long as possible before they had to finally take the ceremony, postpone it, and move it inside to the first intermission, because you had a lightning warning at that point with thunderstorms. It wasn't just the rain, it was the lightning warning. So they nailed it, and they had the timing perfect where the period ended. Darrell Ray was ready to go, starts the ceremony. They've got Modano on the stage in the arena. They had whole video shots of the unveiling on the video board. But Mike Modano, we were interviewing him afterwards, and it was an interesting point by him. He said it kind of worked out that the weather forced it inside, because instead of an outdoor ceremony with who knows how many people, traffic is buzzing around, things like that, his speech was inside, and all 18,000 people stayed in their seats to listen to the speech, see him get emotional. So the crowd noise, the echoes, the reverberation, the chanting, it was all going on in different parts of the speech. So it made for a better fan experience, and I think intimate experience for him to have 18,000 people right on top of him giving the speech. You just didn't have the statue being unveiled right next to him. So in some ways, it did work out better that the weather forced everything inside, and he was super emotional. He was absolutely fantastic when we talked to him. It was just an awesome night, and it should be when fans get their guy, the greatest player in their franchise history, his statue unveiling. That's a special moment for a team, a player, a fan base, and an organization. This is the first statue in Dallas Stars history. So that's a big moment for the organization. And then my Brett Hall story for you. There was a go ahead. Go ahead, Rob.
We're 2 minutes over, so we might have to save that till next time. I apologize. Can we do that? Can we save it till next time? I won't forget.
Yes, remind me next time.
We will. Okay, Brien, thanks for this, man. Good luck in the playoffs.
Appreciate it. Good to talk to you guys.
Brien Ray of Bally Sports, Dallas Stars TV. We'll be right back with a sports update and audience takeover. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
One of hip-hop's finest, Ice Cube.
You better check yourself or you wreck yourself, 'cause I'm back.
Straight into Canada tour. April April 28th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I can't believe today was a good day.
Among the most influential rappers of all time, Ice Cube. On sale now at sasktix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody, sports update time and viewer takeover. We cast a wide net on this show. Have you figured that out yet? We cover a lot of topics. I did want to throw in this nice comment from Allie from Texas. She writes in and says, I loved how it turned out. What an awesome man. She's talking about the Mike Madonna statue. She says, that's why I love Rod, because of how much he loves hockey. Because when you get two guys that love hockey, they could talk forever, and I could listen forever. Jay in Winnipeg says, what? No Brett Hull story? Come on, Pedersen. Well, we do have a time restraint. I wish that we could go on and on and on. As Ali suggested, there's a thing called commercials, like what you see on your screen right now, Sober Carpenter. It's what keeps us in business, believe it or not. Sorry, don't blame me. I'm tired of being blamed for everything. Here's your sports update from this Monday. Cameron Sutton has turned himself in, ending a weeks-long search for the former NFL defensive back who was wanted on a domestic violence warrant. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office here in Florida announced the 29-year-old Sutton arrived at a jail in Tampa last night, nearly a week after it said his attorney informed authorities that the former Lions and Steelers standout would turn himself in. So there's that, and trust me, it's huge news down here. Not sure if it has been where you are. And then I saw in the break, I was surfing Twitter, that Weyburn's going crazy. I didn't think they were going to win last night. The Red Wings beat the Humboldt Broncos 2-1 to force a Game 7 Tuesday night in the EPA. Literally, we're following it all because it's a fantastic time of year. And that reminds me, we'll get into this with the Sports Doctor next hour. Did the UFL air in kicking off its inaugural season, if whatever the hell it is, on a weekend where it was so busy? They're all busy, bro. Sports Updates brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. And also for Landmark Cinemas, in theaters now, Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla and Kong, however you want to say it. The battle continues. Legendary Pictures' cinematic Monsterverse follows up the explosive showdown of Godzilla vs. Kong with an all-new adventure that pits the almighty Kong and the fearsome Godzilla against a colossal, undiscovered threat hidden within our world, challenging their very existence and our own. It hit theaters on Friday. Have you been yet? Now's your chance this week. Godzilla and Kong in Landmark Cinemas. Next hour, the Sports Doctor and the LP's Taylor Shire. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back after this brief break on Game Plus and Key Radio.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, an upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
So what was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena? And he said it was in a bad end of town, and the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the intersection, and some local yelled at him, "Don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Get on up inside. Hour 2 of your favorite daytime sports talk show coming your way with episode number 1212. There's something in the air there. Numerologically, it's a special show. Maybe that's because we don't have DuPont. I don't know. Last hour was great with the Silver Fox. Yeah. And we're bringing in our good friend, the Sports Doctor Dave Petrishen. I got so much to get to with Dave. Football, hockey, a little baseball, Kraft Hockeyville, all the rest. David, happy post-Easter, happy New Year. I don't know. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, Rod. Thanks for having me on the show today.
You had my dream job on the weekend. Tell the folks. I saw it. I saw it on your social. I saw it on your social media.
Yep. I knew this was going to come up. Myself and Canada's greatest athlete, Miles Garrell, we were judges at the Winnipeg Miss Hooters contest on Friday, and we crowned a Miss Hooters Winnipeg.
Every contestant's a winner, Dave. They're all winners. But congratulations to those that did.
Truly enjoyable afternoon. It was many years ago that you couldn't do anything in Manitoba on Good Friday. Like only some restaurants were open. They were open the evenings. If you wanted a glass of wine or a beer, you had to order a meal. And now Good Friday and Easter Sunday, it's just like being where you are, Rod. Wide open.
Well, yeah, I know. Hey, just let's remember, he is risen, the reason for the season. Open whatever you want, but let's remember why we're celebrating it for sure. And listen, I guess I'm gonna come around to football. I got a whole hell of a lot to get to. Shane in Yorkton writes in and says, I voted for Kraft Hockeyville so many times, I was starting to doubt if I'm a robot or not. Another year and no Saskatchewan win? We'll get to that, Shane. Just hang on. The Jets are home tonight to the Los Angeles Kings, and they've lost 6 in a row. And before we talk about the Leafs and the Panthers, which is another big one tonight, can you please tell me what Winnipeg's going through right now? It just must be insane.
It's agony. I had a friend's 60th birthday party on Saturday night. Went out and watched it at a local establishment, and it's funny. 2 months ago, you never expected the Jets to lose. Now, when you turn on the TV, I think we just expect them to lose, to lose to the Ottawa Senators. Like, it just was something. And all I can think about is, there was Scott Billick of the Winnipeg Sun said that the Jets were booed off the ice, which is not unexpected, that's for sure. But if you're Connor Hellebuck, that's your 500th career game, and you're getting booed off the ice. And we are a town that's either burn the building or plan the parade, and we're certainly at the burn the building part right now.
Better now than the playoffs. Like, do you try and inject any positivity, or you just ignore it and go do your thing?
Well, we have the LA Kings tonight, and it's a 8:00 start local time, so we tend not to play that well in those late games. Then we have the Calgary Flames on Thursday night, and Calgary Flames are always a tough opponent. We go in Minnesota for a Saturday afternoon game, and then there's Nashville, then there's Dallas, and then there's Colorado. So you don't really see much light at the end of the tunnel with the games coming up. We return home on the 16th, and later for the Seattle Vancouver to close out the season. But boy, we got some tough road games too. So it's not looking good. Nobody can really. I think to sum one thing up was the Edmonton game last week, and we had the 4-minute power play and managed to get one shot. And I think that sums up what's gone wrong. Somewhere along the line, these guys have forgot how to play hockey in the power play. So I don't know what to say.
Well, this is what we love about sports. I've said all along I'm a Jets backer, and they will figure it out, just like the Panthers were expected to figure it out. Colin in Ottawa writes in, and he says, I love that the pesky Sens are giving playoff-bound teams some difficulty before they get to the postseason. Here's the thing with talking to the people. Like, I watched the Sens games, and I thought this for a while. They got good players. Why aren't they winning? And now everybody's saying DJ Smith, the head coach, was terrible. And I'm like, then why did you wait so long to fire him? Whatever. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He says, no days are sacred anymore. It's too bad, really. Robin in Prince Albert writes in. He says, geez, another King Kong Godzilla movie. Getting just as bad as Fast and Furious. Hey, he goes, wait, they should make a King Fast movie. That, and I'll say this again about the Florida Panthers. Go ahead.
I was going to say the crazy thing about the King Kong movie, it was #1 at the box office over the weekend. Like, is that all people do now? Is everybody streams everything else and just goes for the monster movies in the theaters again?
I guess so, and the popcorn and the licorice. But I just want to point this out too, as the Florida Panthers go into Toronto tonight, and we do have a lot of Panthers fans that watch this show now, and I appreciate them for that. But it's, they're trying to figure this thing out, just like Paul Maurice. I'm sure everybody in Winnipeg's watching what's going on down in Florida with the Panthers, and they're struggling a little bit. Paul Maurice has lost his temper a little bit. You've seen it. You know him as well as anybody from watching his 9 seasons in Winnipeg, and I hope they get it figured out. But I just feel like they should not have tinkered with that lineup. They had the number one team in the NHL and decided, yeah, do it. And boom, here we are, losers of 6 of 8. Don in Ottawa writes it. He says, the sports doctor looking svelte. Yes, he always is. It's not Guy Fieri. And so one other thing here, with regards to, you talk about the Jets and you expect them to win versus you expect them to lose. Dave, you and I have both been around a little while. Here's one thing I've learned. The tough times make you appreciate the good times in anything in life. You can't tell me that the young Bomber fans that don't remember the 30-year drought like you do would appreciate the 4 straight Grey Cup runs like now if you hadn't gone through what you had, because it was the worst of the worst of the worst, Dave, right? That 30-year drought was bad.
Oh, it was some grim games at the old Canadian Stadium, and a bad way to kick off IG Field or Princess Field, the Princess Auto Field. Now I guess that's what they're going to be calling it. And it's the same thing. Like, you know, we all knew the Mark Chipman interview with The Athletic and Gary Bettman coming to town, and they're trying to, you know, drum up some season ticket sales. And you know that ripple always is a little bit late. Like, you know, the Jets had a tremendous start to the season, and the crowds were, quite frankly, kind of dismal. You know, a couple thousand empty seats here. Nothing like in the 90s when those Tuesday night games against Hartford, there was 9,000 people at the old Winnipeg Arena. But there was nothing. Everybody sees that. You know, you can follow the box office stats, and not every National Hockey League game is sold out, unless you're like Montreal, Toronto, Boston, and those cities where they just go to games, just go. And you know, we have a bit of problems. You go through some struggles, I guess, because we got kicked down in the 90s and the team left. I think that's why people are just got that weird attitude about, oh yeah, we're not going to go to the games, we're not going to win, we're going to lose the team. Not so. This, you know, the ownership's on solid footing. They're just trying to figure it out as they go along. I'm going tonight. I'm going to the pocket. I'm buying a ticket to see tonight's game. It's a Monday. What else is there to do on a Monday in Winnipeg? And I think they can snap through this. And I think the fans need to. Everybody just needs to relax. I don't think that how would you like to be a Canadiens fan? And that place is full. The barn is full all the time. Bars are full in Montreal. People talk Habs. That's all they talk about in Montreal. Everything else is secondary. And they don't win anything. You know, for years, they haven't won anything. They're just basically holding on to those Stanley Cup banners that are getting dust in the top of the arena.
Any Canadian team. They're the most recent to win a Stanley Cup, for God's sake. So what do all the other teams have to say for themselves? They're full too, right? It's the complacency. Yeah. You know, which is wild that you say that. Now, listen, just to switch gears a little bit, Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes it. He says, LOL, Princess Field. I forgot about that. Well, it's Princess Auto Field. But Jim Barker was on here on Friday, and I said, what did you learn from the CFL Combine in Winnipeg? And he goes, that you're very big in Winnipeg. That was from Jim. And here's my thing. I was waiting to see you face-to-face like this to say thank you, because people need to understand in business, sports specifically, because that's where I spent my whole life, but you are also in the marketing of the restaurant world too. You need an ambassador. You need somebody carrying the flag and somebody you trust. And for me, that's you in Winnipeg. You've been a huge, huge part of this show's growth and success and popularity in Winnipeg. So I want to thank you for that. And it was nice that Jim would say that. So to swing to football, because that is your number one sport, I believe, if it's not pro wrestling, and is that even a sport? Did you make your way down to the Stop it. Did you make your way down to the Combine at all?
I did do a little shoulder rubbing with some of the friends that I know in the league, and to me, I thought that when the last time that when you were still doing the Sports Cage, when you came down and hosted the program, that was a pinnacle. That was a really great Combine. This year, it wasn't in that same central type of location. We had to look around for a few of the events, and some of the things, and some of the meetings were at different spots. But I thought, the CFL does a great job. And this year, I thought it was marketed a lot better. I mean, I get the CFL newsletters every day, I get the updates. I think they're trying really, really hard for that. Of course, it's not on the level of the 24/7, 12 month a year, 365-day NFL coverage that you get on every regard when guys are reporting to camp in February, and the season doesn't get underway till September. But I think it's a nice job. I think it's a spotlight. What I think the combines really do is put a lot of focus on our own Canadian athletes. That guys that know that they're not going to become wealthy playing in the Canadian Football League, but they've came through the Canadian college system and they just want to play football. And just to see the enthusiasm on some of the athletes that came through, that's the thing that really gets me excited and gets me looking forward to June when the CFL regular season starts.
Well, I do want to just take a sidestep on that. You're right. It's just good to get the league in front of fans and bring the fans together. And that when you were talking about with CFL week, we were there together in Winnipeg and we had such a great time. Garbage day again, Dave. Don't let it. You can probably hear it. You can't see it.
Yep.
But there was a note that came up on the weekend, whether it was fake news or not, that former Dolphins receiver, Bears and Steelers Chase Claypool's unsigned. We're over 2 weeks into NFL free agency, and he's unsigned. He's from Abbotsford, BC, Vancouver suburb, and could be headed back to the CFL, and that the Lions and Rough Riders are talking to him. I don't know if you saw my report on that, but it went crazy. And then I had people trouncing me, going, no. The Lions have his rights. There's no way. I'm like, don't act like it can't happen. Don't act like I'm an idiot. I'm not saying the teams are talking illegally to Chase Claypool, but it has happened in this league before. So let me ask you this. Do you think he might come back to Canada? He's made, I think they said $8 million all-time in the NFL. Do you think those days are gone? Because there are guys, you remember Sam Jaguar and Dan Federkow, guys that spent a long time in the NFL, came back to Canada. Doesn't happen that much anymore.
It's all about, you never say never. I mean, he could want to build his personal brand, and maybe football is a good way to get the business career going. When you come back to Canada, you're kind of seen as a conquering hero. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers he's not a Canadian, but Chris Streveler returning, and Streveler's not going to make a fraction of the money that he made in the National Football League holding a clipboard or being on a practice roster. But it's all about being back where you want to be and building your personal brand and maybe seeing some other opportunities. And you never say never in this league. Guys could come back and play 1 year and decide, I want to get a start on a coaching career, and back you go down to the States, and whether it be college or be in the National Football League. Football opens a lot of doors, and there's always a comfort coming home to your native country. Yeah, well, and the reason that popped into my mind was because he was a second-round pick by the Steelers in 2000, and he's a guy that would never go to the CFL Combine. It's just the CFL's in a tough conundrum right now that you're not getting. It's like Canadian music. I went to the Junos. Yeah. You're a music guy. I went to the Junos expecting to see Shania Twain and Justin Bieber and these guys, and it was Katie Lang and Anne Murray, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not, you know what I mean. You say that the Junos were a week ago, and do you want to feel old as watch the Junos? Because other than Anne Murray, I didn't really recognize anybody that came on other than, the host or something like that. But there was no, I'm looking for Burton Cummings. I'm looking for Randy Bachman. I'm looking for, other members of the Tragically Hip, and we're getting people that I just don't know. And it's just like everything. The world is changing. And guys, sometimes even in music, some guys have gone down to the States and made a hell of a career out of it, and you don't even know who it is. Guy. Okay, when we come back, and I appreciate you staying for another segment, we'll talk about all these things and more. But I'm Facebook friends with Charlie Major. Big fan of Charlie Major's. And I kind of got a sense where he's at politically, or at least he's at the end of his rope, because he's like, I sat down to watch the Junos tonight. I want to say it was on CTV. And he goes, and they got preempted for the World Music Awards. He goes, is this not the most Canadian thing in the world? We wouldn't want to offend other people, so let's bump our own music awards for the World Music Awards. Right? He's like, literally like, stop the world. I want to get off.
Anyways, we'll talk about tonight's NHL games, get to all these topics and more when we return. And Taylor Shire from the LP coming up later on, too. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And let's just bring him in right now. The sports doctor's with us here for another segment. And I was saying to Serena this morning that I couldn't have handled another day off. It was a 3-day weekend, and I didn't feel like doing anything today. That's why we got to work, Dave, as you know. Keep busy. We got to keep busy. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He says, you went to the Junos? That's pretty cool. Bro, I've done everything. And the problem was I did it. I'm like, and I'm 50. Now what? I've done everything. So I had to start something new. What am I going to do for the next 50 years? Navy Dawn writes in. He says, as a country, we feel nobody is any good unless they are recognized in the USA. We still have a colonial mindset. We just transfer the focus from the UK to the USA. I don't know anything about it. That is a lot too deep for me on a Monday. But I will say this. I saw a poll from The Athletic that said US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis is the nicest stadium in the NFL. Having said that, they had Lambeau like ranked 4th or 5th. So I'm like, I don't know what their criteria are. But Dave is a season ticket holder for the Vikings. Tell us why we got to go to that stadium in Minnesota before we die.
It's tremendous from the moment you walk in the door. It's a beautiful looking facility, natural light like all over the place. It is indoor stadium, of course, but the doors at the end, it's similar to what they have in Vegas. There is a lot of airflow in there, which is nice in the fall, not so much in the wintertime. The natural light make it tremendous, and I have that. The other place when they played in the Dome, you felt a little bit disconnected. Like some of those larger stadiums, like you remember going to games in the old Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton. How disconnected you were at that game because the place was so big and it was so spread out. Where in the US Bank Stadium, I don't know how to say it. It feels more enclosed. You feel like you're literally on top of the action. And it is just an exciting place to go. It's everything's fast moving. Concessions inside are wonderful. There's lots of room to move around after for halftime to go to the washroom, get a drink, get a souvenir, get something to eat. I don't have a lot of comparison. Like I was at Old Candlestick and Old San Diego and old stadiums that aren't around Seattle, the King Dome out there. Like I don't have a lot of newer experience. I've never been to the Dallas in Arlington, and I've never been to some of the Ford Field or some of the other ones like that. But it's just a tremendously exciting place to be. And when the Vikings are in contention and they're winning, there's no better place to be in pro sports, I think.
Quite interesting that you say that. And just talking about, it comes up a lot. How loud these stadiums are. We were watching. My guy Brent, he's in the photo with me with this fish that we caught, this sailfish, a couple months ago, and he was saying how the Dolphin Stadium's a dump. And I'm like, well, what's your definition? They put in millions and millions and millions of renos, and there's a lot of places that would love to have a stadium that the Dolphins have. Just because it's old doesn't necessarily mean that it's a dump. Yet, you brought up the Winnipeg Arena last segment, and I remember it only held 13,000. I remember being at the 1998 World Juniors. Canada versus whoever the hell they were playing. I don't know if you were there. You and I weren't friends yet, but I was there. And the guy right beside me, Todd Ripplinger, was screaming in my ear, and I couldn't. That's the loudest I've ever been anywhere. Forget it. NFL, NHL, CFL, forget it. The old Winnipeg Arena. That kind of stuff just doesn't exist anymore. I mean, the place was falling down around us. It had to go, right? The new place isn't like that, is it?
Yeah. Well, that was originally built as a 10,000-seat rink, and they just kind of blew up the ceiling up a little bit and installed, 5,000 more seats to get it to NHL standards. So it was closed in at the old barn. And there's not only that Winnipeg Jets games, but in 1986 when Hulk Hogan returned to take on Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and the place was jammed, and because there's with the floor seats and stuff, there must have been close to 16,000 people in that place, and you couldn't hear yourself think. It was just insane, and that was also a different era. Like now, when people, they seem to be a little bit more reserved in their cheering. I don't know, other than a huge True North chant, and maybe because the Winnipeg Jets for the last few years haven't had that playoff excitement, as then we would defeat Nashville on our way to the Western Conference Final a bunch of years ago. But it is just, people just don't seem to lose their mind like they used to. Like you see, old Grey Cups from CNE when the Argonauts played, people losing their mind at those games, and you don't just see that anymore.
Well, there are a few factors that go into that. I might say an $18 or $22 beer or cocktail. The people might have been a little bit into grandpa's cough medicine, and you can't afford to do that anymore. Who knows why that is? But from our viewers, we got some good ones here. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, exactly. Old doesn't mean dump. Remember that, folks, as McMahon Stadium opens up for 2024. Robin up in the sticks writes, and he says, how much does a facility factor into a free agent decision? People really need to listen to me, and Dave's around pro athletes all the time. It's not cut and dried. Everybody's different. Variety is the spice of life. Right? So somebody might want to go play in a brand new facility. That's why the university teams in Canada all play in the big pro stadiums rather than the small, quaint fields, because they want to attract players to play in the big stadiums. That's the university level. But Dave, you know yourself, taxes in a state or province have something to do with it. To be honest, I don't think the facility has hardly anything to do with it. I mean, it is a factor,
I think it's
but
culture.
It's not the number one factor.
Yeah. Yeah, I do believe it's culture. I mean, if it's a facility, no one would play in Toronto in the CFL, because that's places that even Calgary. Like, yeah, there's world class doctors and trainers and off-site places like that. But I think it's the culture. If you want to win or you want to learn, or when people go to Toronto, it's again about personal brand, because maybe there's business opportunities and you know, in Vancouver for a long time was just a desolate wasteland in terms of fan support for the BC Lions. Like, you go there for perhaps other reasons, family, weather, nice place to live, you like it there, or like I said, building your personal brand. And Winnipeg, you know, with the guys like the Willie Jeffersons and what Mike O'Shea has created, people want to be part of that culture, and that's very, very big in sports. And yes, of course, building your own personal bank is very important when they wave a big check at you. If you know that wasn't the case, if that you know, money wasn't a factor, nobody would be playing in Cleveland or something, right, like that, like places like that, because there's just no winning going on. But it's what you want out of life, what you want to get. Like, you know, they said, you know, people play in Montreal because maybe they like that culture. People play in Toronto, again, building your personal brand.
Well, by the way, you brought up waving the biggest check. That's what it comes down to. And Robin wasn't saying, is the facility the biggest factor? He said, how big of a factor is it? I might have misread. The number one factor is the money. And when you talk to Dave just said how a different era back in the day. It is now, from what I hear, because the money is stupid. Like, I'm around NHL players more than any, and they talk about money being stupid. And it's a fraction of what the NFL money is, a fraction. You know what I mean? And so, for instance, here in Florida, they say, why did Radko Gudas go from a great situation here to that crappy team in Anaheim? Well, they were almost doubled his salary. That's why. You know, that had a very big reason to. They go where the money is. Winning isn't as big of a deal anymore, because they want to sign a contract or two and then never have to work again. And by the way, have you ever had to not have to work? It's great. James in Calgary writes in, and he says on the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033, he says, why is U.S. Bank the best barn? Easy answer, RP. It's Justin Jefferson's home field. Scott in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan writes in, he says, old Taylor Field was way louder than the new stadium. All right, you want to talk about facilities? Look at Saskatchewan's facilities, the best in the land. And I include Winnipeg in that, and the team's missed the playoffs the last 2 years. And they haven't signed the best free agents. So, no, the facility in that regard does not. The gentleman wrote in earlier, since you're here, Dave, I'm going to loop you into this conversation. You're part of it, whether you want to be or not. Okay. We had the Kraft Hockeyville contest go. It's I think this was the 18th year. What's going on? Is that you or me that's getting loud there? It was the 18th year of the Kraft Hockeyville contest. They have 4 finalists, smallish communities all across Canada. There's a contest, online vote to win $250,000 and have an NHL preseason game in your facility in the fall. Saskatchewan's never won, and you can add this year to Saskatchewan never winning. And it's got people thinking that it's rigged and that the numbers don't matter, and people are very upset because I didn't have my hopes up. I didn't expect to win. But I was kind of getting a good feeling that this would be the year. And I was part of the Wolseley promotion to a small degree. And we all tuned in Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada, and didn't win. Congratulations to Elliott Lake, Ontario, which I'd never even heard of. But you're welcome. Congratulations, you won. Do you think this thing might be rigged? I don't want to think that it is, but there's a lot of people that think that it is. You think there's any chance of that?
I don't think it's rigged. I think that's just where the population is, and you see Ontario on a little box, and that's who you're going to vote for. But every community in Saskatchewan I have ever been to, you don't need to be called Kraft Hockeyville. Everybody knows that every rink, whether it be Swift Current, whether it be Weyburn, Estevan, everywhere in Saskatchewan is Hockeyville. You don't need to have an award to say that. Like, that's hockey is Saskatchewan.
Very nicely said by you, but that doesn't come with a check for $250,000 in an NHL game, which is what we needed to get a new ice plant or help get a new ice plant in Wolseley, Saskatchewan. And I will leave you with this. 100% of my friends think that Shohei Ohtani is guilty of some wrongdoing, whether it was betting or lying or stealing or whatever. What I'm saying is I prefer to believe that there's still good in the world and somebody's not guilty of a scam in an online vote or a baseball player being guilty of gambling. What do you think of Ohtani?
Well, Rod, you've been married. You're married. I'm married. I'm in a relationship. I know that if 4.5 cents from my bank account were missing, I would know about it if there's there. So never mind $5 million or something like that. There's something there. Nobody is that dumb when it comes to your bank account, no matter how much money you're making. It maybe this guy wanders around with that kind of money in his pocket because his salary is so big. But you know, with money becomes great responsibility, and you get a lot of money, you want to keep your money. So there's something there.
Okay. That's what all my friends are saying. But I'm like literally going, I don't want to believe this. You know? And I guess it comes down to this, because you and I have been around the block a couple times. Prove it. What can you prove? And everybody's thinking that the interpreter's going down to save the $700 million best baseball player ever. And we've also seen that happen too. David, thank you, sir. Let's do it again soon.
Thanks, Brad. Thank you.
The Sports Doctor Dave Petrishen. Give him a follow on Twitter at, conveniently enough, at The Sports Doctor. We'll be back in a moment with Taylor Shire. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
One of hip-hop's finest, Ice Cube.
You better check yourself or you wreck yourself, 'cause I'm back.
Straight into Canada tour. April 28th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I can't believe today was a good day.
Among the most influential rappers of all time, Ice Cube. On sale now at sasktix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Whoa, we got a lot of topics on the table today. Welcome back, everybody. We were talking about the Kraft Hockeyville contest. Elliott Lake, Ontario winning Saturday night, announced by Gary Bettman. Saskatchewan not winning. Never have. I said I've never heard of Elliott Lake. Colin in Ottawa writes in, he says, you've never heard of Elliott Lake, Roddy? The uranium mining that used to go on there has made some parts of the city radioactive. Did I stutter? No, I've never heard of it. But I've led a very sheltered life. I don't get out much. Let's bring in Taylor Shire now, if you don't mind, from the Leader Post. We got a lot to get to it, Taylor. Hey, Taylor, nice to see you. Don't believe I've ever seen you in spectacles. How do you feel about the accusations by some, Scruffy, that the contest is rigged and that we'll never have a chance to win? You're a Rocanville guy. You can speak for the province. What do you think of that accusation?
I don't know if I can speak for the province, but I did grow up in a small town. I don't think it's rigged, but I think all the finalists, even all the nominees, there's many rinks across Canada that are deserving of this award. It can only go to one. Elliott Lake, watching their submission, their rink is inoperational right now. The kids can't even play hockey there. Wolseley, they can still play hockey, but they're nearing the end of the ice plan. So if you think about deserving, and this is completely unbiased, obviously I would have loved to see Wolseley win, them get the money and have the NHL preseason game here. But Elliott Lake, I had to look it up on a map also. They're not even playing hockey at their rink right now because it was in need of upgrade. So if you think about who's more deserving for this year's award, it's hard to argue with that. But I certainly think Wolseley is more than deserving. And then I don't know if they can keep submitting every year, or does it kind of lose? Can they just keep trying year after year, or does it kind of lose a bit of the luster after going kind of all in this year to try to win the award? So certainly disappointing. I don't know why it hasn't been awarded to a Saskatchewan town. There's been a lot of good submissions over the years. I don't know if it comes down to simply a vote. I don't think it's a population-based thing, because we've seen small towns in the Maritimes win this before. So I don't think it's like an Ontario dominates every year type of award. That would be certainly we could blame it on population or lack of population if it came down to that every year. In some of the fine print, if you read the fine print, it says final vote will be determined by final award will be determined by the final vote. But as Kraft Hockeyville, we also have a bit of a say in it. So I don't know if it actually is rigged, where they actually decide if who is the more deserving or how close the votes are. So certainly interesting, but unfortunate that Wolseley didn't get it this year. But I think Elliott Lake is deserving as well.
That's a very nice answer. Have you ever and I say this 100% seriously, have you considered politics I can't speak as diplomatically as that. I'm pissed. And I'm tired of getting the shaft. And you probably are under the surface, too. But you just very diplomatically said that. So kudos for you. And thank you for the answer, because you probably didn't expect to be talking about it on here. The Barflies in Winnipeg writes in. He says, get Jesse Ventura on if it's conspiracy theories you're talking about. And I'm not going to go down that road with Taylor. Maybe another day. But you can kind of see why people claim fix when it comes to Super Bowl and officiating and all the rest, when it is proven that it does happen, but just not in this case. Okay, sorry, back on point. Of course, I read your columns every day, your articles and everything. Robin in Prince Albert writes that he says, breaking Rider news. Wide receiver Samuel Emilus signs an extension. Last year, 1,000-yard season in the CFL. I read your mailbag is my point. Pretty high optimism in Riderville right now. Am I right?
Yeah, and then this Sam Emilus signing just coming in this morning. Of course, he was under contract already for the 2024 season. This is a one-year extension to keep him through 2025. He did get some NFL tryouts or sort of looks this offseason. Obviously, nothing panned out. So he extended his option. This was his option year, 2024. So then this next contract is his first non-rookie contract, I guess. Considering this is he's exercising his option year, so he'll get a little bit of an upgrade. A bit of a pay bump, I guess I should say, after a strong season. And yeah, going on that mailbag, if some of your viewers did read it. One of the main points was talking about how the Riders have sort of a surplus of Canadian receivers who could start, and could they start 3 Canadian receivers this year? I certainly think that's on the table, although I don't think they will stay Canadian receivers. With Emilus, Picton, Lennius, Schaefer-Baker, I still think they're going to draft a Canadian receiver. So, it could be a camp battle, and it's certainly going to be a really interesting training camp, because this team is, I think they're completely brand new from last year. They have a few leftover pieces, Trevor Harris being the main one. But when the leadership changes at the top with Corey Mace coming in, this team is going to feel completely brand new, in my opinion, which makes for an interesting training camp and obviously an interesting outlook on the season. I don't think we can read anything into how they did last year or even the last 2 years going at 6-12. I think they've wiped the slate clean. I think there's opportunity in the West for them to compete for a playoff spot, maybe even a home playoff spot, really depending. I think it depends on what Edmonton does with McLeod, Bethel, Thompson. So there's lots of room for the Riders to really improve from last year. I don't think they're going to be necessarily competing with Winnipeg quite yet, or even BC at the top. But yeah, there's room there in the West, and I think the Riders. I think they're going to have a good year based on how the offseason's gone so far.
That was the sense that I got from reading your mailbag. Great job again, by the way, at leaderpost.com is where I read it. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, so this will end the Chase Claypool to Saskatchewan talk. Did you at least get some mild amusement by the story going around and popularized by me on the weekend that Chase Claypool will be CFL bound and could be talking to Sask in BC?
Yeah, I thought it was April Fool's when I first saw it. You were a day early, or that post was a day early. Yeah, I didn't ever really think about Chase Claypool ever coming here. I'm sure there's other options, but I don't necessarily think the Riders need him, in terms of the ratio. So, but you can never have too many good Canadian receivers, and you'd never turn down an NFL. NFL caliber receiver. So, yeah, I don't know if that's ever going to pan out, but it would certainly be a big boost to their Canadian lineup. Then I think for sure they would start 3. How about that?
Yeah. Taylor, for those that don't know, is a certified hockey official. I don't know if you ever lose that. I was certified in 1986, and if that's the case, I'm certified too. But my point is, you know the game. Say what? You have to renew it?
You have to recertify every year, so I think you're a few years past.
Typical referee jumping in and ruining the fun. But my point on all of this is, you know the game. So do Winnipeg Jets fans and the Jets themselves have something legitimately to be worried about? That they've lost 6 in a row here going into tonight's home game against LA?
I don't think so. I think they still have a good team, and as long as they put themselves in a position to obviously be in a playoff spot, but then peak at the right time, I think is the cliche. You don't have to win all your games in March and April to be going in hot into the playoffs, but you want to feel good about yourself in some way. So I think if they can respond here in the next few games, feel good about themselves, get into that, have a good first round matchup against, I think all of them are going to be tough, but sort of work themselves into a good playoff position. Every team in the West is going to be tough. Those are going to be some really good first round matchups. I don't necessarily think there are going to be 4 favorites winning. There very well be 4 upsets, right? You could have a whole mixed bag. So it's certainly not time to panic in Winnipeg quite yet. Can't say the same about some other Canadian teams, but not in Winnipeg at least.
So to whom are you referring?
Calgary.
You're talking non-playoff teams? Go Cal. Okay, well, they're not going to be in the playoffs.
But
so
they're not trending in the right direction is what I'm saying. So I'm a Habs fan, if you can see behind me. We're not panicking. Habs fans aren't panicking because it's a trajectory. I've talked about it before, right? They're in this slow rebuild. They're going to be better next year, hopefully better the year after. But yeah, I would say Calgary would be the market that not great right now, but obviously not in the playoffs and not even going to worry about it this year.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Winnipeg, we got the playoffs around the corner, man. Got to start playing better. Calgary, it's unfortunate. I feel bad for them. You're right. There's the haves and there's the have-nots, and then there's the Habs. Wow, that's good, Rod. Sounds like you're busy there, Taylor. I'm going to let you go. Thanks for finding some time for us as always, and keep up the great work I'm reading every day.
Okay, appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Leader posts Taylor Shire on dad duty, and he was needed. We'll be right back with Audience Takeover and a sports update. This is the RP Show, live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest, Headpins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, an upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
This is it. This is it. The final segment of the show brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Stop in there, ask for Randy or Michelle. Tell them the RP show sent you, and thank me later. It's where skill and fun collide. Golf has driving ranges. Baseball has batting cages. Why wouldn't hockey have shooting lanes? Well, they do. Overtime Hockey Lanes in Cowtown. Get your comments in now. We got a lot of time for them. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to read this sports update, and then, Clark, you and I are going to play the breakaway bets for tonight's NHL games, okay? So please get ready. But first, Edmonton Oilers forward Connor McDavid was named the NHL's first star of the week today after leading all players with 8 points over 3 games last week. He had 3 goals and 5 assists over the stretch to help the Oilers win 3 in a row. Vegas Golden Knights goalie Logan Thompson was named second star, and New York Rangers forward Alexei Lafreniere took the third star. Here's the thing, and I don't know when everybody's going to get onto it. I'm not talking about this guy specifically, but my guy Brent, you see him over my shoulder here. We were out on his boat yesterday. Then we came home. He made supper. He's like that. And he's with the help of Bree, and he said, as we sat down and started watching UFL football of all things, he goes, who's Vegas's goalie? And I'm like, well, gee, I don't know. And isn't that just a Kelly McCrimmon thing? We don't know. We're on the eve of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he's got multiple goalies that he could go with. We all thought it was Aiden Hill, but here's Logan Thompson, player of the week in the NHL. Like, get used to it. The sports updates for Landmark Cinemas. In theaters now, Kung Fu Panda 4. This spring, for the first time in almost a decade, comedy icon Jack Black returns to his role as Po, the world's most unlikely kung fu master, with a hilarious butt-kicking new chapter in DreamWorks Animation's beloved action comedy franchise Kung Fu Panda 4, starring Dustin Hoffman, Jack Black, and Bryan Cranston. And also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Are you with me, Clark?
Bingo!
Do we have him? We got him. Okay. I know that they can't hear you, so I will read your picks to the crowd if you're cool with that, with the audience. So let's go with the Detroit Red Wings at the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. Who do you believe will win? He's taking, we just, Clark, just the name of the team would be great. I'll take Tampa Bay, you're taking Detroit. Islanders at Philadelphia. He's got Philly. I will take the Islanders. The Colorado Avalanche at the Columbus Blue Jackets. Colorado for him and me as well. Pittsburgh at the New York Rangers. He's taken Pittsburgh. I will take the Rangers. The Florida Panthers at the Toronto Maple Leafs. This should be fun. He's taking the Leafs. I'm taking the Panthers. Lunch is the bet. And the breakaway picks, breakaway bets. Oilers at the Blues. Who you liking? He's taking the Oilers. I'll take the St. Louis Blues. That'll be a lot of fun in this house. The Los Angeles Kings at the Winnipeg Jets. I feel like this is it's not the marquee game of the night. It's the marquee game of the West. Kings at Jets. Who wins? He's taking the Kings. That's Clark, not me, Winnipeg.
How about that?
Because I'm taking the Jets.
Hoorah!
And I mean it. Seattle at San Jose. What do you think? He's going to take Seattle? Just for fun, I will take San Jose. Because they don't beat anybody. But anyways, thank you for playing, Clark. I appreciate that. We'll be tallying it up. Don't trust my tally, though. You might want to tally them up, too. But I do have it written down. I'm just really bad at math. So that is our daily pick pool that we do for the Rod Pedersen Show. We have so much fun with it. I call it sport betting. It's like sport fishing, where you catch the fish and you throw it back. Sport betting is betting on sport, but not for any money or anything like that. Well, lunch. Does that count? Ron in Calgary writes in and says on the Sober Carpenter text line, great show, Rod. Way to hold down the show without Moose. LOL. Was Moose not here? I didn't even notice. He'll be back on Wednesday as he continues the Southern California tour. David number 1 in Winnipeg writes in, he says, I loved all the guests today. Hope everyone had a great long weekend. Thank you, David number 1. Buffalo Bill writes in from North Dakota, and he says, I'm betting a large meal at a drive-up window. And then laughing, crying emoji. Is there something funny that I missed there, Clark, that you can see? I don't see what's so funny from him. Clark's just ignoring it. Well, what else do we have tonight, by the way? We have the... I wanted to get into way more football with the Sports Doctor, but for whatever reason, we got into other things. But we got 3, 6, 8 NHL games tonight. We have the Blue Jays at the Houston Astros to open up a midweek series. And then March Madness. We obviously are not going to spend a lot of time on it. I'll be honest. Like Navy Don wrote in, he goes, Canada's getting swept up in March Madness. Like we really care. They don't. Come on. Get real. But I will be. But here they're going crazy about it. And tonight, huge game, LSU, Iowa, women's round of 8. It's confusing to try and sort out because that's also called the Elite 8. And they're playing it in Albany, but it's Caitlin Clark. I tell you what, you got a teenage girl? You ask her if she's into this game. I don't care where you live. It's the Clark Army, and they're into it. Iowa versus LSU tonight. So there's a lot of things going on, and my point was I would have liked to get into it. When else was the UFL supposed to kick off? They're being criticized today in USA Today for kicking off on such a busy sports weekend. You want to find a better one? They were criticized. They used to kick off right after Super Bowl. Apparently that didn't work. Start the clock until they fold. See you tomorrow, noon Eastern.
Who has more fun than us?